Hello everybody and welcome back to another AFC Wimbledon match preview video on the channel. On the weekend, AFC Wimbledon do take on Bradford City away from home at Valley Parade. It's always a very tough place to go to, a tough place to go and win any sort of game, get any sort of points, and Bradford have won every single game that they have played in the league at home this season. So again, that shows how tough of a test it may be. But Wimbledon are on good form. But in today's video, we're going to talk everything about Bradford City versus AFC Wimbledon, give you a good insight on what may happen on the weekend. Please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And yeah, furthermore, let's get into this match preview video. So it's 7th versus 5th in League 2 this coming Saturday as Bradford City take on AFC Wimbledon. We'll start talking about Bradford City as they are the home side in this match. So at the moment, Bradford City do sit 7th in League 2. They've started well. I think most fans predict that they will probably most likely come in the top 7, top 10. They've had an okay start to the season. Played 6, won 3, drew 1 and lost 2. And those 2 losses have come to a pretty decent Walsall side, which sit near to the top of the table, and Grimsby, which could have been the disappointing game for Bradford City. But again, Wimbledon have had another disappointing game. Well, not recently, but we've had one disappointing game this season against Bromley, but we'll get onto that soon. So far, pretty much so good for Bradford. You want to be inside the top 7, top 10 at the start of the season. You don't want to be seeing yourself down at the bottom of the table where they kind of were at the back end of last season. Didn't really finish well at the end of the season last season. Attendances were dropping, fans were getting a little bit disappointed, but they will be looking for a much more positive season, Bradford City, and I think they will do it 100%. I think they can easily get into the top 10, top 7. They have the players to do it. Let's look at Bradford City's last 3 games in the season so far. So in the third to last game they had was a 2-1 win at home to Carlisle, which is a pretty good result. I remember they played each other in the playoffs, so they got a bit of revenge there as Carlisle did win over the 2 legs. Walsall then beat Bradford 2-1 the game after that, which was obviously disappointing, but I believe it was some sort of last minute winner or close to the end of the game where Walsall did come back from 1 goal behind and win the game 2-1. Then Bradford did have a pretty good 3-0 win over League One side Mansfield. Was in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy. Not too sure what the lineups were about, if Mansfield were not fully strength, if Bradford had a pretty strong team out and they want to go far in the competition, as it is a good competition to go through. It's a Wembley day out at the end of the day. So but it's still a very, very good result for them. It will boost the confidence for the players coming into this game, as the game before they did lose 2-1 to Walsall, and Bradford will 100% want to go back into the league and win another game. As I said in the intro, they have played 3 games at home so far and they've won all 3 of them in the league. So that kind of shows how tough it is to go to Valley Parade. It's a big ground, open ground. The fans are really good, high attendances. Atmosphere is always buzzing around Bradford City. So it's always a tough place to go to. But Wimbledon have had a decent run of form away at Bradford. It was a 0-0 draw, I believe it was last season. We've beat them 3-0 there before. We've had a couple draws, lost once, I believe it was. So we will see what happens on Saturday. When we look at the highest rated players that FOTMob have given for Bradford City, Anthony Sarcevic, centre midfielder, kind of plays in that more attacking role in centre mid. Really, really good, high-rated League 2 player. Was obviously at Stockport County last season for the last couple seasons. Got them promoted, did really well. Stockport fans were disappointed when they heard that he was leaving Stockport and going to Bradford City. So fair play for Bradford for keeping him in this league and signing him. His creativity that he's got on the ball. He knows how to shoot. He does a pretty good passing range as well. He's that all-round centre mid that you really would want in your team. Aidan Baldwin, centre back, and another really, really good player, which is calm and collected on the ball. Aerial battle duels rate is really, really good. Tyreek Samuel Wright, a left winger, again, a really good player for Bradford City, a player which would easily take on a man, kind of like Josh Nouvel on that left-hand side. It's not scared about taking on a player. We'll always try to get past the player, get crossed into the box, or can cut on the other side and shoot towards the goal. The top goal scorer, Andy Cook, has scored 3 goals in the league so far. We all know what Andy Cook is about. He's been in and around the leagues for quite a few years now. I believe he was the top goal scorer in League Two. Can't remember if it was last season. I don't think it was last season, but the season before he was top goal scorer, scored around 30 goals for Bradford City, which is a massive achievement. Fair play for Bradford for keeping him now, but he is still getting a little bit older now, so it's kind of reasonable why he stayed in this league. But yeah, Bradford City have got a good side. They're obviously in the playoffs for a reason. They've had a decent start to the season, only losing 2 games, but winning 3. And all of those 3 games have been at home, and the other draw has been away from home as well. So they're 100% on home turf, so Wimbledon, but our away form is a bit hit and miss. We've had a couple good wins. Cheltenham was good. Lost to Bromley, unfortunately, away from home, but then all the others have been good wins at home. But yeah, Bradford come into this game with wanting to get back on winning terms after losing to Walsall. They have a really good run at home. They've got really good players. They'll be very strong defensively. They'll be physical. It's their home turf. They're going to want to do that. But they lost to a really good Walsall side who have impressed this season. But yeah, it will be a tough one at Bradford City. We know the calibre of players they've got. We know where they want to be come the end of the season, but we know where we want to be. It's going to be a really, really good test against Bradford on Saturday. Maybe 2 evenly matched teams, but now we've talked about Bradford City, really good side. Players are playing well. They've got some players which could easily play in higher divisions. But now let's go and talk about the away side, AFC Wimbledon, who have had pretty good start to the season. So moving on, talking about the AFC Wimbledon side, the away side against Bradford City. What a start it's been to League Two life in the 2024-2025 season. Nearly got it wrong there. AFC Wimbledon sit 5th in League Two, 2 places above Bradford City. I believe only 2 points ahead of them. We can go top if results go our way, but we do have a game in hand. That's Tranmere away. If we do win that, whenever it's rescheduled, then we can go top if results are going away and that we're still winning games. But we sit in 5th in League Two, played 5, won 4, lost 1. The last 3 games that we've had have been all wins if you can count a win on penalties. In all competitions, in the last 3 games, a 2-2 draw against Ipswich and a win on penalties, which we've talked about so many times. How good was that? We have Newcastle on Tuesday nights in just under a week's time. So that is going to be a great night for the club. I cannot wait. AFC Wimbledon then had 2 home games in a row in a space of 3 weeks, beating Fleetwood 1-0 from a Josh Newville goal. Really good performance. One of those type of League Two games which you just need to go and grab 3 points against scrappy Route 1 football, which Wimbledon did love to do back in Wimbledon FC. But yeah, that was one of those games where you just have to go and get 3 points, and we dug deep, defended well when we could, and took our chances, which was great to see. And then Wimbledon did take a 2-week break because of international duty, and then came back and beat the franchise 3-0. Milton Keynes at home at Plough Lane. What a game it was. It was absolutely amazing. Goals from Miles Hippolyte and 2 from Callum Maycock coming off the bench, and 2 Josh Kelly assists for those 2 Callum Maycock goals. It was such a good game. We dominated the first half, probably should have scored maybe even 2 or 3 in the first half. MK came out battling in the second half, hit the post, and Owen Goodman had a couple good saves that he had to make. But it's absolutely amazing. And then we went on the break where it kind of looked like it was going to go to 1-1. As I said, MK did hit the post, so they did have chances to go and score. But Wimbledon showed the resilience, kept tackling, kept fighting. That's what Wimbledon is all about. And then we went on the break and scored 2 goals by Callum Maycock. An absolutely amazing experience on Saturday. If Wimbledon can keep doing that throughout the whole season, if we can keep fighting for the badge, keep fighting for the club, keep putting in tackles, keep putting 110% effort in every single game, then we will definitely be at the top end at the end of the season. But AFC Wimbledon come into this game in absolutely amazing form. As I said, coming off the back of a 3-0 win against Milton Keynes on the weekend. All of the players should be high in confidence going into Bradford. I think they all showed how much they just love the club, how passionate they are about this club being successful, as we've had a couple tough 2 seasons in League Two. We were really close last season and we want to just go all the way. And I think against Bradford, it's a really good test to do the same thing all over again. I'll talk about it in a minute, but Bradford they pretty much do play the same formation as us. Their last game against Walsall played a 3-5-2, kind of similar to us. But it'll be interesting to see if we change it. But it seems like maybe we don't have a plan B in formations. But it'll be interesting to see what Johnny Jackson's tactics are for this game against Bradford, as they are pretty physical at the back. But we have got the players to back that up and get through this Bradford defence, which will be definitely tough to get through. The lineup did change for AFC Wimbledon a little bit against MK. We had 2 changes. We had Matty Stevens coming in for Joe Pigott, which was interesting at the start. I thought we would go Omar Bugle and Joe Pigott up top just because of having more physicality up front. I think Matty Stevens didn't really get a lot of clear-cut opportunities in the game, worked his socks off as he always does. But I think against Bradford City, they've got a tough defence, which are very tough to break through. And I think if we have 2 big men up front, just like when we played Cheltenham away from home, we started with Omar Bugle and Joe Pigott up front. We were getting it out wide to Furlong and Newville, running at the fullbacks, getting past them, whipping it into the box, and then hopefully Joe Pigott and Omar Bugle will be there at the end of it. And I think it's kind of the same kind of way we have to go. I think if we play those 2 up front, they're ruthless up top. They're so much physical. And if we can just get crosses into the box, Josh Newville looks so lively every time he looks up. He runs at defenders, tries to get past them and gets a good cross into the box. His final end product has been very, very good at the start of this season, muchly improved, I think. And we also saw James Tilley change with Furlong, which I thought, again, was an interesting one. But James Tilley had that experience last time playing against MK, and he did really well defensively. Again, against Ipswich, he also played really well defensively in a position which he definitely doesn't want to play in, and it's a position which he's had to get used to. But I think maybe Furlong coming in for Tilley will be a good one, as I could possibly see maybe Ogundare, Tilley starting against Newcastle, as they have done against Bromley and Ipswich in the Cup. So I think those will be the 2 changes. I think Pigott may come in for Stevens and Furlong will come in for Tilley. But again, then you look on the bench, we have Josh Kelly, who came on, hasn't had any opportunities, and he came on against MK, got 2 assists. Same with Callum Maycock. He could be in contention to start against Bradford. He looked so clinical when he came on, and it's so hard to come off the bench in those type of games in a rivalry, in a hatred. To come on and score 2 goals was very, very successful. So yeah, I think the lineup will be tweaked a little bit, but obviously let me know down in the comments your thoughts on that. I'd love to hear them. Bradford are a big side, and they do make it tough to break you down. So possibly, as I said, starting Bugle and Pigott for this game will be a good idea. Starting Furlong will also be a good idea, in my opinion, just for his successful tackling rate, aerial battles, duel winning rate is all very successful against a very physical Bradford side, which are very good at home. They're very clinical. They keep the ball. They do average above 50% possession every single game, but we like to keep the ball as well. It was different at MK, but the games before Fleetwood, Cheltenham, we were keeping the ball very well. So I think it's 2 sides which may have the same tactics coming up against each other, which could make it very interesting on Saturday. But we'll see how it pans out. I think Wimbledon do look the more likely side to go out and win. Yes, Bradford do look good at home. We know they have good players, but Wimbledon have performed very, very well at the start of the season. As I said, we haven't even drew a game, which is so good, because we've had so many countless seasons where draws have just killed us. If we can just score 1 more goal in those games, get another 2 points added on, then it's absolutely brilliant. And I think we've done so well for not getting draws. Seeing out games, even when it's scrappy 1-0s, we know how to win those games now. We have the players to do it. A lot of our players have had very experienced seasons in the league. They've done well in League 2, League 1 before, so they all know how to get out of this league, hopefully. Final thoughts, what do I think will happen against Bradford on the weekend? It will be tough. Obviously, as I've said countless times in this video, Bradford have won every single game at home in the league this season. They've got Andy Cook, who's already scored 3 goals in 6 games, which is pretty decent for a striker of his age as well. But we know he can definitely go out and easily score a hat-trick against anyone. They've got a tough defence. They play the same formation against us. They will be physical, but so will we. So I think it will be narrow, as a lot of our games have been, except from MK on the weekend. I think Wimbledon will win. it won't be by much. I don't think we'll go out and batter Bradford away from home. It will be tough. It will be different for the game that we just had against MK. I'm going to say maybe a 2-1, 3-2, high scoring, possibly. But it will be tight as always, as it is against Bradford City. We know how good they are. Let me know down in the comments your thoughts on what you think will happen against Bradford City versus AFC Wimbledon on the weekend. Unfortunately, I will not be there. It's just a long journey, isn't it? It's tough fun. But Salford is the next away game, I believe, after Bradford, and I will be there. But yeah, thank you for watching. Let me know down in the comments your thoughts on what you think will happen at Bradford City versus AFC Wimbledon on the weekend. Thank you for watching. Come on, you Dons.